doors also exist. Perhaps grab the emergency brake, the little one with the red persimmon. Here is where I fold my arm, and it is you, Eurydice, that I am collapsed into. You that I am pleaded to bleeding no and yes, and wherefore art thou? Me, mine is thine. This ain't no Romeo rodeo drive sail stateside on the skipper's ship-shaped hat talk I've been meaning to have with you. You must have noticed. I have had it with emblems, insignia, poster children for the Purple Heart, bondage and dragwear too. Costumes are out, I suppose. Anyway, we're, as you so aptly pointed out, on the flip side of any Hallowed Eve festival. Here, as the nightingales take to their tuning above an English marsh, my bleeding lyre is gouging a songbird, singing the pure contralto lofty as running bathwater gone cold. If it weren't for her, huddled down there, then popped out like a jack-in-the-box, spring wouldn't exist at all. Budless boldness of those cold colors in the breeze. I say to her, if I could just freeze you, here, an instant. A bit like leaning back, like pulling the thin lever, halting the speed for a fine of up to 500 euros if abused. Is this? Are we ready for a restraining order? A 12-step post-stalker codependency, as they call it, fusion fission workshop? Why don't you then? Just take it back, taking it all out on me, a bramble stuck between my teeth, thorns and thornier business, this inert fireball. If at first it sounded like legs, it must have been them, running. Bourbon and Jack and this old bottle of yellowed vanilla rum closed comfort. You are beyond the ivresse of me, beginning. In the abyss to see how voided out this transaction was a fraud. Who did I perpetrate? Poster boy for? No visionary stability so uncoupled as, turning the scarved face, she is staring at you, Eurydice. She resents what you stole, finds her other sides a man's pocked complexion. We would be such halves of the singled coin, if any of our doubloons were left to scavenge. Transition, transistor, tune me in, up, surface side, watercraft catching air to grasp this autonomy, shelled, conical formations. I lay back down on the velvet sofa bed, on the iris petal's dark spoke, and whisper to you. Will you answer through this sonorous dark? If only I could see the signage through the smog. Strike. The public transportation hoists a surface side, Orpheus, and my mole-like vision is a blank, bright. Can you lead me forth along the A-line, cut me up and down Manhattan, or through the 13th arrondissement? These are the paths I took, fingers on yellow limestone. I mime you singing, and your voice hovers, a green cloud. There is no pastoral in the hooker, I bet, and a rotted-out, moldy two-floor flophouse off Saint-Denis, pretending I am you, man overboard, key-hauled, dragging me back out, gasping, spittle-drowned, cat fur stuck to my sides, her rabid rabbit coat trailed after rounding corner markets. Give it up, lay it on the line, throwing down with the best of them. I gotta say, this is a bargain. This going in for the next lay the next. $5 a pop, 100 gets you a suck job. What wouldn't you do to get me off? She doesn't know. Draws an X on the map when I ask where to head. Postmortem. Cleared out the doors. Located Coney Island scrawled notes to Orpheus. This is a list, or it is not. 2, get her back. Make music. 2, make music that is good enough to get her back. 2, be resilient. 2, not be over-curious. 2, consider a bargain with the devil at the crossroads for the right to trade. 2, make the exchange at the right time in the lunar cycle. To not get distracted by parents, cousins, aunts, uncles, childhood friends, that politician you may perhaps be responsible for being down out there. Never eat anything tempting, as in red, otherwise known as blush. 2, know she is waiting, tied up, dreaming of you, surely. 2, bring her flowers. 2, compose her a song, to not waver from the plan, to be absolutely sure not to, no, not ever, really. This is one of those. No one remembers to tell anyone, but heard from reliable, if slightly senile source. Look Sharon in the eyes. Do ignore the water, to see the waves, to think only of her, not to forget she is. To know this, the scale is tilted forward, so follow it. Heretofore, slippage in the stepladdering. In the ectoplasm of the echo, the ego, the concertos wave wintering in the eccentric wavering, a shriek or shrink to wrap cut it up. He vibrato's waiting. Orpheus, that is, extirpated, pianissimo, fortissimo, or any other unbearing load-born republic, this road, sans signage, should have proved him long ago other, that is, squelched, untrusted, worthy, self-gulp, gawky and soundless, sounding his own ear out, mouth open, inchoate, that note, that's not. Science or clear blue warbler, shit she he feels contralto. They back up together, bodiless, curving, folded in the flickering lick of dark ahead, heading of him, her eyes face forward in the shadowscape, cock-eared, listing for the serpentine hiss, not to glance, because not seen. Echo whimpering with each of them, squeal, roosted, preen, keening, hover. This hot as a hell house, she would, if she could say it, Eurydice, eccentric, ecclesiastical eclipse of sound. Below the ballast, subgrade formation, a syllable sprout between rail ties, tries, trials, exultant. Stepladders or sighs going all Venetian. Bone masks bare or rare or reared to go gouging it, Yuri. What's it gonna take? Pack a bag, a sack, stack 'em 5 high, carcass deep, collated convalescence. She, to arc in the hour of ouverture, turn, spit. Spoke of spoken in the wake, woke open-faced, coffin in the confines. This fuck is just not wet enough to slip her a tenor. Those words unlace the language, corseted. What you got in the box? It's all frills, hat high, presents or presents. Here now, sounding. Just as we were about to get down to the intermingling. We were talking about glass. Once there was behind the lead pane we were confiding in, hidden. I was telling you about, saying to myself then, I am certain, backdrop, pack, voice over, it was stating the, as if there weren't enough evidence in this dried blood pool, bareback, foot in the, thump or print of. She was startled enough to yelp it all out, trickster solace given me an arm, leg, breast up. I know that photomaton image. You just slipping out the side screen, vanishing, an act, top hatless, Yuri. Taking me down the winding stairs, Abbes or Canal Street, dice, a tossed second of you halved, folded time, spaced confinement. This, says she, or that. We don't know where to look. Cocteau's cloud, my slivered lining. I call out, I holler. I impart to you this intimacy, disclosed, sealed. It would be nice if each thing that we had really stated were as ripe as this vindication. Something's burning. Don't you remember? Uptown underlayers